Hello, greetings, and greetings. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to the Grounded Bag podcast, but also welcome back to the Still Becoming Education, Pressure, and Purpose playlist. And yes, so welcome to that playlist and greetings and welcome to the Grounded Bag podcast. I am your host, Aisha Ansa. And if you haven't already planted roots with me, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel, like, share, and comment so that you don't miss any videos. And this also lets the YouTube multiverse know that you find value in this platform and most importantly in the content that is being shared. And most importantly, don't forget to listen to us on Spotify, subscribe to the Grounded Bag podcast on Substack so you never miss any of the updates and publications or blog posts that I will be ramping up a little bit more over there on Substack. So stay tuned for all of that. So, welcome back to the room. Even though it could be if you're watching this from your car, your room, or your personal safe space. Thank you so much for joining me because this segment is near and dear to my heart because it really speaks to the lengths of what we have to go through even as individuals to find places that feels safe for us, but as well as places that feels that makes us feel seen, most importantly. So this part in the segment is more geared towards how we're able to really identify education, but as well as how we're able to really break the stigmas of how it makes us feel versus making us still feel ashamed. And as an MSW student at Howard University, one more semester, y'all, I'm about to start in about a week. Then I'm done, and then I have to study for my boards to be a licensed social worker. So I'm excited about that. But another thing that I noticed when I was doing my internship is the overall complexities that fellow young individuals, peers in my age group, have expressed to have, especially when it comes to education. Because many of them are either going to 4-year colleges or considering community colleges, but their parents are pushing them to mainly go to 4-year colleges instead of community colleges. Pause on that. And in some ways, that went against what and what they felt. And they felt as though if they didn't go to a 4-year college, that they were going to be cut off by their parents, or they were going to make to feel judged, or they were essentially they felt behind if they see a fellow peer doing more, starting their business young, or being a freelancer, paying for their own way. Meanwhile, they need support from their parents. So it's a lot of levels to that. I know for me, in my case, my mother raised me to be independent, but also she supported me in a lot of ways. Public speaking, I did some modeling, um, nothing major, but major enough that helped me even with improv, even with talking, even with being, well, I'm already a bold person by nature, but I would say it added more complexities to who I am and my character. So I would say every single level as education, even if it's a acting class or even if it's a baking class, what you're doing matters. And if you're hearing water, that's just my water sounds. I like to make my safe spaces serene. So you're going to have to get used to that. But back to the topic at hand. So, the main discussion that we're going to be getting into is community college and why community college is not a backup plan. And many individuals may think that community college is literally like wasting your time for 2 years. And you could essentially be pouring into a degree versus having to go to community college. And I'll say this right here. And the question is, why do people treat community college as less than? I would say it's a lot of idealistic perspectives. I'm not going to sit here and say that going to a 4 year degree and going to a 4 year college isn't ideal or isn't something that you want to attain for. But look at the time that we're living in now, ladies and gentlemen. Wait, I'm not trying to sound cheesy or anything, but wait. Before you go any further, have you subscribed yet? Please do. Plant roots so that way you don't miss any video that I publish, as well as any announcements or just any form of purposeful content that I'm prayerfully going to be presenting on this platform, as well as shorts, because I do get down. I do. So you can follow me on TikTok as well, Rooted with Aisha, as well as X, Rooted with Aisha, where I also get down and live tweet on shows that I enjoy, reshare a lot of my content that I post on there. And sometimes I do share other form of mentions. So I just want to just check in to make sure that you are still here with me in this moment, because Rooted with Aisha isn't just a series, it's actually an extension of me. It's my journey through education, career, health, and reclaiming myself and rediscovering who I am in every season. Because this is the truth, roots doesn't stay the same. So they grow, they stretch, they deepen, they also evolve. And so do we, so do I. So thank you so much for being here and for watching and for listening. If you're listening to my podcast on all streaming platforms, follow me on Substack as well, because I will be ramping up a lot of digital media on there as well. And thank you for also growing alongside with me. So, hey, if I lost you a second there, if you fell asleep, no hate, all love. That's okay. So please pause and come back and tap back in when you're ready. But if you're still with me, just know I appreciate you. Now back to the show, where student loans have to be repaid. There is issues with grad plus loans. If you're already a legacy student, you may be able to qualify for it, still qualify for it. But if you're coming into the grad plus, you may run into some roadblocks. And then there's always the thought process is okay, after I'm done with my education, unless I'm going to go for a graduate level or a doctorate level, I have to pay back my student loans. They're not going to keep deferring it forever. So it's a lot of complexity. So that's why a lot of individuals, they like to look at all roadmaps here. Community college, what can it offer me? Is it gonna at least give me an entry level position? If it's gonna, am I gonna at least be able to be a CNA and an electrician, or a practical certificate slash licensure that won't require me to have an obscene amount of student loans? But I would say why individuals view it as less than is because of the perception. It's not a 4 year degree. It's not coming from an Ivy League or a reputable university that has a lot of name behind of it. So it's very hard to scratch that, because then you're also dealt with the fear of, okay, as soon as you have this certificate or associate's degree or an entry level degree, what do I do next? Is it still going to guarantee me a job, or do I have to get a degree at a university to even look a little bit more appealing? So there's always those fears. And unfortunately speaking, even though there's this statement that community college should be free, I think it should be free. I think all non 4 year degree educational institutions should be free. And I think that when it comes to essential workers, even at a 4 year degree educational level, should be given a lot of tuition assistance, and they should also be given a lot of support, especially if you're a nurse or a doctor or a social worker or members of the clergy, or in positions where you know now more than ever you need those roles. I think there should be a little bit more support for students on a wider level, but that's another conversation for another day. So that's why I would say community college is treated less than. It's the perception, as well as the community expectation, because especially if you're a part of a minority community or a community that's based on your family's name, that's the statement is, okay, I'm going to go to Brown, I'm going to go to Yale, I'm going to go to Princeton. That puts like a extra sparkle onto it, and you feel as if you're bringing, honor to your family, but in hindsight, it still doesn't guarantee you employment because it's a rat race. Because even in a lot of corporate spaces, you still have a lot of corporate level, I don't want to say nepotism, but here we are, we're saying it, nepotism. um, as well as there's a lot of who you know, and then of course you always have the Lord's favor. Hallelujah. So you have those instances where you have those stories where someone really started from the bottom and then they went all the way up. So I would honestly say that that's why a lot of individuals feel that a community college is less than in some complexities. But then there's also another question, is what are the real benefits people overlook? People overlook the lower cost, the entry level. Sometimes you can start at entry level as an education and your employment can possibly pay for the rest of your education. Or you can essentially discover that, hey, I'm okay with this. I don't want to get a 4 year degree. I don't want to acquire more student loans if I don't need to. And as long as it gets me certified and qualified, I can move on up in many ways. So there's a lot of factors that we often overlook. And also, it goes back to purpose. What do you see for yourself? Do you feel that you need this to validate you, your family, and the whole bigger picture? Or do you feel as if you're enough with just a certificate? That's another thing. And another question is, what is prestige or peace more important right now in your life? So the real question is prestige or peace more important in your life? Do you feel that you need to, I don't want to say suffer, but go all the way, educational wise? Or is peace more important in your life right now and purpose? Because many of us, we go for educational goals because we know where we want to go. And then you have moments where, as human beings, we have pride. And pride is one of the stupidest sins where we go for these goals in some elements because we want to attain a level of prestige. We want to attain that level of notoriety versus going for it with peace and purpose. Because when you have peace and purpose, it can carry you further. Whereas when you are going with pride and prestige, it can take you to a certain level and then you get emotionally, mentally, and physically burned out to the point where you don't have anything left to give. So that's another thing to really keep in mind. And most importantly speaking, I say this because I was at a crossroads where I wondered, is this education for me? Like, I had an undergrad at Lynn University in criminal justice. I almost became a 911 operator twice. I did not want to really pursue law enforcement or be a lawyer in any way, which I think I could have, but I don't think that was for me purpose wise. So I did a lot of research. And I didn't want to be a social worker that was in DFACS because I didn't feel like I had the heart to do that. But then when I researched that social workers can do so many other things outside of being in DFACS, they can be in medical facilities, private practices. They can also support on a clinical level, mental health level, or other forms of policy level, micro, meso, macro. I was blown away. I was like, whoa, I didn't know they can do all of that because historically it was always social workers just take kids and that's it. On a deeper level, social workers also impact change on a policy level too. So I would say if there is a goal, if there is a career, if there is a place where you see yourself graduating to, doing your research, do your research, see all that this road can lead to. So that way, once you're on the road, you're able to better navigate the terrain and know that, okay, I've done my research. I know what I want to do. And I know that I have an option to do something else too, because there's some social workers that also work for themselves in private practice. And that's why even after I get my degree, complete my degree, and also get my license, I do have a goal of becoming a clinical social worker too, because that will also qualify me in the future if I ever want to get my own practice. I have that licensure. So I would say, and internships are amazing, and we're going to get more into that in future episodes, because and that's something that my mom always shared with me and my siblings, that internships, not only does it get you in the door, but it also shows your employer, okay, when they're ready, it I can hire that person. And there's some internships that are paid and there's some internships that are not paid, so you have to evaluate that. And you also have to ask yourself, how am I feeling when I'm working with my supervisor or manager? Do I feel like I'm an equal partner, or do I feel as though I'm being micromanaged, or do I feel as though it's going to be a bad situation if I work with them full time? You have to look at all factors here, because sadly enough, we go into something not knowing what's really tea, and then we regret it later and ask ourselves, why didn't I dig further? Why didn't I ask questions? And this goes back to the very first episode. You have the authority to interview who you're working for. In the playlist, check that out. You have the authority to interview who you're working for. If they are not doing what they're supposed to do, you have the authority to question them. You have the authority to let them know, hey, I don't feel comfortable with what you're having me do. And if this goes against both your moral and legal compass, then you know what you need to do. Get the hell out of there, leave, and run like there's no manana. Do not stay there. Because one, it's also going to compromise. If you feel as though it's going to compromise your moral compass on a deeper level, especially where you're working and your employers, then you have to start thinking differently. We have to. And it cannot just be, I want to pursue this field of work just because it pays well. Because that's the last question. How do finances shape your decision, your educational decisions? Don't be a nurse just to earn more money, because you also have to ask yourself this question that's going to equate student loans. And are you willing to sit for the boards, do all of things, put your license on the line every single day? And are you willing to take those steps forward? If you are, then jump in with both feet. But if you're not, then quit while you're ahead. Let's just take a breath, take a pause, because we have to be intentional. And not to mention, sadly enough, the old wives' tales of this: the doctor pays more, a lawyer pays more. First of all, in case you've been in another planet that has less stress than this one, doctors are being supervised constantly because of the laws and legislation that are changing, especially when it comes to female reproductive health. And lawyers, unless you're willing to be the devil's advocate and compromise your compromise everything, you're literally going to be placed in situations that is going to compromise your belief systems. And even me as a social worker candidate, I've had to ask myself this question: why did I choose this field? Is it for the money? Social workers don't get paid that much in the general sense, but it all depends on what kind of social worker you are. If you're clinical, or if you're um, it all depends on which genre of social work that you get into, because social workers are in everywhere, every industry, but it all depends. And you also have to look at the laws, and government wise, they're trying to declassify a lot of positions and a lot of professions. So it's a lot to really think about. So that's why I've learned the hard way of putting a period where it should be a comma. We should not devalue community colleges, because let's just be real. a 4-year degree is not for everybody. And is if I didn't pursue this role, I probably would have gone to community college or probably would have pursued a practical certificate. But I felt spirit led to go into this field of social work. And I'm prayerful that the Lord will continue to guide my steps so that way I make the right decisions and not decisions that I'm going to regret. That is my prayer. That is my prayer. And this goes back to our hot seat question that I'm going to leave you with to answer is, have you ever judged someone for going to community college? Have you? No judgment if you have. But these are things that we have to really evaluate within ourselves. And question number 2 is, what would change if you saw it as a strategy, not a setback? Mm-hmm. Because it's a step forward, but it can also lead you to getting into a field, building on it. Is it going to guarantee you work? Does any degree ever guarantee you work? Internships can, but it cannot. Personal and spiritual alignment can, but there's no guarantees. So it all goes back to, what do we believe? And are we willing to do the work to get there? And are we willing to take the road less travel, but still get to the same destination? So I leave you with that. And it is my hope that we can really give community college some love, but also change the narrative, because we are living in a society where there's so much narratives and there's so much fears that it's literally making individuals question their own abilities. When now more than ever, if you are a nurse and you're an impeccable nurse, please do not question your abilities when you're taking care of me. You know what you know. You know what you need to do. Take care of me well. If you're drawing my blood, don't stab me now. Be gentle and listen to your patients. At the end of the day, these are all human beings. So if you're a lawyer, social worker, nurse, doctor, you're a human being just as the other person. Listen to them. Don't just do a job just to do a job. And that goes back to education. Don't just take a course, just take a course. Ask yourself, what do I want to do with this course? Is it going to bring everything together that I've ever done in life? Because I would definitively say that after my MSW, I'm going to focus on paying off my student loans. If God Himself tells me, hey, Aisha, I want you to do this PhD and move on up, well, then I'll do it. But outside of that, after this degree program, which felt like a doctorate with my master's, no, I have nothing to prove to anybody. I did the work with God's help and support from my family. I'm throwing in the towel after this. So 10 years from now, and I eat crow and I'm doing a PhD program, well, then I'll come here as I am right here and say, well, look at what I'm doing. Outside of that, you heard it here first. You heard it here first. But in closing, support exists for you, ladies and gentlemen. Even in moments like this, there's a lot of uncertainty. Cost of living is up. It's been up, but it's going up now even more. So please take care of yourselves as you're navigating everything. And also take what resonates with you today and move gently with yourself from here on out. And I'm your host, Aisha Ansa. And until next time, be kind to your mind, keep choosing yourself, and most importantly, one moment at a time, allow yourself to evolve into the person that you want to be. But allow yourself to do that. Allow yourself. Allow yourself and allow yourself. Because if I didn't allow myself, I would not be here talking to you like this. Believe me. And if I didn't forgive myself, I would not be able to feel so much joy in my heart to be able to go on this journey and find peace in it. Find peace in it. Never thought about it that way. So you're going to find that I'm going to have a lot of aha moments as we talk. So until next time, I will be hanging up the phone now, but you all take care and stay blessed. And see you next time on another Grounded Bag podcast episode.